Hello, and welcome back to Cultured Waist, the Cultured Corner. And this is the Waist Bead workshop. So I started doing this workshop in 2021. And it started off as someone just asked me to do a workshop where I teach people to make waist beads. And I wanted to create a safe space for us to speak about our vulnerabilities and how we see ourselves and why. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to be making our new collection of beads, which is the African Rebels collection. So I have up next to me all 54 flags belonging to the countries of Africa. I've made 3 so far, which you can see over here. We have Nigeria, Sierra Leone and Gambia, which are the 2 countries I'm from, and then the country that my partner's from. But I'm going to keep going through the list, starting with A all the way to Z, which is common sense, so I just have to double check like all the letters. Anyway, I'm scrambling a little bit, so I'm just going to sage, take a deep breath, and then we'll get this show on the road. I'm also going to be doing some shadow work using journal prompts. But before I journal about them, I'm just going to talk about them as I bead. And then I'll write myself a nice letter from a space of clarity. Okay, we're going to cleanse the equipment as well. The beads. Heck, we'll cleanse the laptop. But yeah, so the first flag that I'm going to be making is Algeria, which has green. I feel like I need to get a deeper green, but we'll use this for now. Green, red and white. And before I actually start to go through the journaling prompts and having that conversation, I think I'm gonna do a affirmation call. So I have this deck of affirmation cards and we'll see what comes out. I'm going to pull maybe 3 cards today and see. Okay. We've got 1, 2, 3. There we go. We have, you already have everything it takes. Oh, and there's a prize on the back. Usually I do these giveaways with whoever's in the live, so a bit later into the day I might ask you guys if you want me to do a poll for you, and there's an opportunity for you to win some free gifts and discounts. So what I would have won is a free copy of Women and Waist Beads, which is my book about how to heal your relationship with yourself, which you can get on Amazon. The Kindle version is $4.44 and then the physical version is $7.77. The second card says, great working with you. And I appreciate that affirmation because I really want to cultivate community with Cultured Waist. It's not just about me and making waist beads and telling you to heal. It's about the women who are actually doing the work on themselves and building their confidence no matter what anyone says. And then the third one says, you are the essential piece. And I like that a lot because obviously I was just talking about the community aspect, but I know that my community couldn't be anything without me here showing up, doing the work on myself. Even in the stages when I haven't, I still showed up just to say, like, I'm still human. I'm not perfect. Like, we are all on a journey and there's no perfection or anything like that. But I think I'm really starting to value myself and big myself up for where my value lies. So that was the card pull. I'm really happy with that. And inside here, obviously I thought I picked up all the cards, but this card says, I believe in you. And so we're going to leave it at that for now. I'm going to start making my Algeria waist bead. So the flag is like a green half, a white half, and then a red moon and star in the middle. So I'm probably just gonna do like 5 green, 2 red, 5 white. I have already measured out like 6 1 meter strings of elastic. And then, yeah, I'm going to start beading, then I'll start answering the questions. If you have any questions and stuff, feel free to ask. This is an open and safe space. I don't really mind what you ask me. Obviously, if I'm not comfortable with answering that, I will say it. So just don't feel like you have to, I don't know. If you just have a question, then ask. If you have an unnecessary comment, you can keep it to yourself. You can say it if you want, but just don't be mad at me when I respond on it. Like, don't be mad, because trolls are like the worst. They will troll you. They will say whatever they want, and when you say something back, oh, see? And I'm like, huh? Did you think I was just gonna keep smiling? But yeah. The first chakra that I'm gonna be working on, let me sit down properly, because I'm actually gonna be here for 5 hours. The first chakra, so if you are here now, obviously I'm kind of just warming up and getting into it, but hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, we'll get somewhere. Oh, do I want to do 5-2? I think I'm going to do 10-3. 10-3-10, not 5-2-5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There might be periods of time during this live where I'm really silent, and it will just be because I'm gathering my energy, I guess. And this, I call it a sport, even though it's not a sport. But this activity of making waist beads is very, like, it's calming. It's a very patient practice, so it requires my complete focus and presence. And so if I kind of go into it, I'm not abandoning you guys, basically. Yeah. I guess we should start with the first question, which is, how do you unintentionally allow others to invade your personal boundaries? I unintentionally do that by oversharing sometimes. I am genuinely an open person. And so I give people the opportunity to give their opinions or, I don't know, their advice just by speaking up sometimes. And it's not that I feel like I should be quiet. It's just that I know now that I can keep certain things to myself because of how people feel inclined to give their opinion. And an example could be on, like, this is always the example I go to, but let's say a relationship, who I want to date, I will just say something like, oh my gosh, I showed someone in my family something in relation to my partner or the person that I want to date, right? And I didn't do it so that he could give me his approval or his blessing or anything. I just did it because I was like, this is amazing and I want to share it. And then he started doing this, oh, I don't like people who are like that, and this, and you should be careful of blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, but I don't, like, what are you talking about? It wasn't for you. Like, this is for me. And so that's where I'm learning now that my boundaries in terms of me being able to make choices for myself and honor those choices doesn't need someone else to come in, like, back my decision. Because then if that's how I lived, when you don't back my decision, am I not going to choose that thing that very much I know is for me? No. So that is what that is. How else do I unintentionally allow people to cross my personal boundaries? It's just being too kind. I went to Tenerife the other day and I was on the beach sitting there and this old man started speaking to me, just friendly. And he started telling me, like, different stories about friends, family, work, all of that stuff. And I just let him speak because I was like, I feel like this guy needs someone to hold space for him right now. In terms of people I usually meet. He was even saying, like, you don't normally meet people that you can just speak to on the beach. I'm like, I just meet people everywhere. And then, like, after some time, I was like, I didn't think anything of it actually until the next day when he phoned me. And I told him I have a partner, by the way. And he has a wife and many children who are older than me. Anyway, not the point. And grandchildren my age. But, again, not the point, I digress. He called me the next day. And I was at the airport. And he was like, oh, how was your night out last night? Because I was supposed to go to this club that I got invited to, but I didn't want to go. And I was like, oh, I didn't go. And he was like, what? Why didn't you tell me we could have spent the night together? And I was like, no, thank you. Like, just me being so kind and allowing him to speak to me, I guess, and engaging in that conversation, because there's no reason for me not to. Like, I don't even know how to describe what kind of person I am, but I'm very to myself, but at the same time I can be very open. It's like he just got comfortable with that. So even he was saying, oh, I miss you so much. And I was like, I miss my boyfriend. Like, that was how I combated that. But in the first place, maybe I should have just been a bit firmer or clearer. I don't know, because it wasn't me. It was him who came under false pretenses. And maybe I should have just been aware of the fact that he could have been doing that, because I didn't know. I didn't think he was moving to me or anything, and he wasn't until he got comfortable to share that. But yeah, that is that. The second question says, what traumas have you inherited from your ancestors? And this question, I feel like the one that I'm facing right now is like, as a people, as black people in the world, we can very much like alienate ourselves. And we are aliens, we are very different, but not so much so that we don't have to be here. Like, we still very much belong here. We still very much deserve to live, deserve to grow, deserve to manifest, deserve to do all the things in which anyone else can. Sometimes I can like really be like, nah, this world is against me because of things that I experience. But those things that feel like they're against me, they're not against me, they're just not for me. And that is other people showing me, hey, this is not for you. Because if you're going to disrespect me based on my skin colour, my heritage, the way in which I express myself and my personality, then you're definitely not for me. And I'm not going to now change me just so that I can fit into your environment. That's not what that is. And I feel like that's where I'm breaking the curse, because I don't feel like I need to be anything for anyone. I was watching a video the other day and Lato was saying like she doesn't want that many tattoos because what if she has to play like a serious role one day, like her grandma or something. And I'm like, I hear what she's saying, and I do have like huge goals for my career and stuff, but I'm gonna do it as me. So if you want me to play the role of a grandma and I've got bare tattoos, that grandma is gonna have bare tattoos, or we're gonna have to do some serious makeup to cover it. Like, if I don't fit that role, if you guys want someone to play that role who doesn't have any tattoos, you're gonna have to find someone else, because look at me. Like, literally look at me. And it's just being able to be honest with myself of like, I'm not inconveniencing myself for anyone. Except for me. And that's where I will step out of my comfort zone. I will do things that I'm not used to doing. And I may look like the wildest person in the room with my tattoos and whatever piercings and this and that. The colours that I wear, all of that stuff. But that is, for me, that is how I express myself. That's how I create joy for myself. And so why would I let that be taken away from me? Even with that, like, when you look at African materials and stuff, no matter what part of the island, bloody hell, no matter what part of the continent you go to, we are very colourful as people, internally and externally. Everything we do, from waist beads to fabrics to our hair, like, there's just so many different ways in which we are able to embody who we are. And for a long time, we haven't been allowed to do that, because our school said you can't wear coloured hair, or because the world said that our hair was unprofessional or unkept, or because like colours draw so much attention, and we always for some reason wanna like dim our lights and hide ourselves. And I really feel like it's because we've been stigmatized, we've been judged, we've been stereotyped. But that doesn't mean that we have to hide. That doesn't mean that we have to play small. And that's what I'm starting to learn. I'm really giving myself permission to stop playing small and be an African, which is why I obviously have this African rebel tattoo on my arm here. And this collection of waist beads is for us to be unapologetic in our heritage, in our culture, in speaking our mother tongue, in cooking our natural foods. Like, I find it rude sometimes, not even sometimes. I used to live in this flat in uni with a lot of Asian people, and obviously they cook with certain herbs and spices that carry aromas, and I, for one, I like it because I like natural stuff that does that. And for some people, like, I had this guy that lived in the building, and he was like, oh, their stuff stinks so bad. And I'm just like, bro, our food carries smells as well. Just because it's not one that you're used to, it doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful. And like, the trauma that I felt like I was carrying was, oh, I know that if I make this smell, it's gonna smell up my clothes. And then if I go outside, like, if I have to go, I don't know, if I have to go somewhere and I smell like that, like, they're gonna know. But at the end of the day, that's just me. Like, I hope I'm explaining what I'm trying to say properly. If I am, please drop we're gonna do a 7 today. Drop a 7 in the chat if you're understanding me. If you're not, I'm really sorry. I will get there with my communication. I'm really just speaking to myself right now, but in front of you. But sorry about that. What traumas have you inherited from your ancestors as well? It was very much feeling like I couldn't prosper financially because there were so many things in the way. And so if I want to, I'm going to have to do many things for free just to show that I can. And I did that for a long time until recently when I met a transformational coach, and he was helping me. He was like, no, you need to get out of that mindset, blah, blah, blah. And I was supposed to work with him on something. And I said to him, like, in many different ways, I was like, I don't want to do free work anymore. So whatever. I said I don't want to do free work anymore. And he said that he's not in a position to pay. And I said, okay, cool. Kept working with him a little bit. Then I said, no. Because it's not that he actually doesn't have the money. He has money. He just doesn't feel like this is something worthy of investing in, right? So I said, whatever it is that you can give towards this, I would appreciate that, because I don't want to do the entire thing for free. And he was literally like, oh no, like, he didn't want to. And so in that space, I could have done the work, but it didn't align with me anymore because I've done so much free work before. I've built up the skills. I know what I can do. I've shown results. And I literally had to make that choice to say, nah, I'm worthy of being paid for what I can do. So I'm going to take it to where someone will value me and actually pay for it. And that was a tough decision to make because, again, like, I can cling to opportunities sometimes because I feel like another one's not going to come. And that's what I'm breaking out of. Like, settling for less because it feels like that's all I'm going to get. I even had this conversation with myself yesterday or this morning where it's like, I don't have to choose things because that's all that's available to me. I can look outside of that. I can say no to what's in front of me because I can see in my mind's eye that I deserve more and I want more. So I'm not going to choose this because this is what's right in front of me. And that level of discernment is what allows you to grow and allows you to timeline jump and all of those things. Because what example can I give? If you are given a bowl of Weetabix every single morning and you just eat it because it's like, okay, this is the breakfast that I'm offered. One day you decide, I don't want that bowl of Weetabix. So you say, no, thank you. And it's like, okay, cool. What am I going to have for breakfast now? With that can come so many, like, oh my gosh, like, what if I can't find breakfast? What if I don't like any of the other breakfasts? Like, I'm used to eating Weetabix. It's free. It's given to me. Like, it's certain. But when you say no and you say, okay, cool, let me go out and see what I can have for breakfast. Oh my gosh, I can have a fruit bowl. I can have granola. I can have English fry up, like whatever it is, you can go out and then find other options because you're not settling for what's been put right in front of you. And for us as a people, I feel like that is what we need to do, because only certain opportunities, only certain pathways, only certain like things were offered to us, and it's like we don't have to accept that anymore. It's like, yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but no thank you, it's not for me. And I've had to have that conversation with people, and they say I'm this and they say I'm that, but I don't really business too tough, because I know me, I know what I'm capable of, I know what I'm worthy of, and so I'm going to choose in alignment with that, not with this dry bowl of Weetabix that you're putting in front of me and there's not even any banana. Cool. The next question says, when you think about the word family, what feelings, emotions, memories and thoughts arise, good and bad? How might that understanding of family impact who you are today? Now, when I think of the word family, I get extremely... see? When my energy starts going... when I get triggered, beads start spilling, everything starts happening. But yes, family is a very triggering thing for me right now, because I don't feel like I have a real family. I have relatives, I have people that I grew up around, I have people who say they care but don't show up in that. And it's very much always been like, we're related, that's enough to make us family, and that's not enough for me. And I feel like I'm comfortable enough to share that now. So that's like the more negative side of it. What memories do I have with my family? I have the memory of exposing something that happened to me in my childhood with someone else that we regard as family. Everybody doing everything they can to protect him, and nothing to protect me, to check on me, to support and show up for me. But then still be entitled and feel like I should do this for them and do that for them. And for a really long time I did. And it's only a couple of days ago that I said, I'm going to use no. And I'm going to use no as a full sentence. I don't have to explain why I'm saying no to you, because it's not exactly just because of that situation that happened that I'm coming out of. Because it happened quite a while ago, and I think I didn't know how to maneuver forward from it. And I didn't realise that I could choose myself. I could put myself first. I could say, coming to your house is very triggering for me. Being in a group chat with the person who abused me, but you guys are ignoring it, is very triggering for me. Like, I don't know what makes them feel comfortable putting me in that position. And that's what makes me think that these people are just selfish. So when I think of family, I think of people who are entitled and selfish. When I think of the family that I want to have, in terms of the family I'm going to choose for myself, or that I am choosing for myself, they're not entitled and they're not selfish. They're grateful for all the ways in which I can show up for them, in which I do. And they also, like, they actually care for me in terms of they want me to be okay. Not just for the sake of, like, so there's no issues, so that nobody says anything, so that Ebony doesn't go online and talk about it, because when I do, everyone starts calling them. And they call me to essentially tell me to shut up. Not to say, are you actually doing okay? Not to say this or not to say that. For so long, everybody ignored I've been running this business for almost 6 years, and I've been ignored by everyone in my family. But all of a sudden, it's like, oh, good luck. What do you mean good luck? I needed luck 6 years ago. Now I've got the hang of this. I don't need your luck. It's just crazy. It's crazy fake, and I can't fake anymore. So this is what comes up for me when I think of family. When I think of family, I think of people doing what they can to look after me when I was a kid. But then I also remember the complaining, the nagging, the blaming, and how that impacted me is I don't feel comfortable taking up space. The other day I had a panic attack because I wanted to have a bath. Like, it's when I think about my relationship with my family, it makes me feel like I'm in somebody's way, and I just need to keep to myself. Anything that I'm going through, I should keep to myself. When I was in uni and I was assaulted, I started to self-harm. And then I told my stepsisters, they didn't say anything. And a couple months later, my dad called me and he said, oh, your sister said that you was hurting yourself. Why do you have to be such an attention seeker? Like, everybody has to go through stuff. And that has always been the conversation with him when anything was going on with me. Whether it was related to him, for example, his friend touching me when I was a child, him knowing about it and not saying anything, and essentially trying to wipe my memory, because as I start to remember this thing, and I mentioned details of it, not of the actual incident. I mentioned details of the room. I mentioned details of where we were staying, who was around at the time. And he confirmed everything. But when I finally spoke up and I said, this happened to me there. No, that didn't happen. You was never even in that room. But you just said that I used to chill in there. But you just said that everything I remember from the room, from the bunk bed to the TV to the window, was right. So how did it not happen? So when I think of family, I just think of people who call me a liar so that they can feel good about themselves instead of facing the truth. And I never tried to attack anybody with my truth. I never came and I said, this happened to me and it's all because of you. So I find it really rude that they would try to gaslight me in that way. My auntie, when I said something about, I don't remember if I said that she was gaslighting me. Oh no, I said that the cousin who abused me gaslighted me. She said gaslighting is not a real thing, you idiot. From there, I said on, it hasn't been the same. And I've been back there and I've shown them love and I've given them hugs and I've all of that stuff. I've been who they want me to be. And I'm not comfortable with it. So this is what has made me so antisocial. This is what makes me very picky about who I'm around. This is what makes me overanalyze people in detail and almost criticize them. And it's not from a space of judgment, because I don't think I'm better than you. I'm just very mindful about who's around me and why, because I'm such a sensitive person. And I've been through so much that I can't be around everything. And I can't be around everyone. And I'm okay with that. Like, that's where I'm like learning to honor myself. Sorry, I'm like purging. But that's where I'm learning to honor myself, because I don't like the way that they made me feel. I felt very dark. I felt like I was alone. I felt like nobody cared about me. I felt like I was insane because they kept on telling me I need to go and get checked at the hospital. And I'm like, I don't need to be checked. I don't have a mental health disorder. I'm depressed because I was abused by my cousin and you guys are pretending it didn't happen. You guys are telling me that there's a potential that I could come to my grandma's house one day and he'll be sitting there and you'll expect me to just smile and wave. Maybe even give him a hug. It is just mental. Now, on the other side of it, my memories with my family, I just felt like a secret. It felt like in public they will celebrate me because I'm smart, I got good grades, heck, I run a business, I graduated, I've done all of these things that mean something in the physical world to them, so that they can show off, or they can do this, or they can do that. But to me, I was broken the entire time and I didn't have the emotional support that I needed, and that was more important to me. So how has all of this impacted who I am today? I am gentle with myself. I was very forgiving with the friends that I chose, because I was used to people being around me who weren't there for me. And so my friends, I allowed them to do the same thing. It's okay. I know you can't hold space for the weight of what I'm experiencing right now, because you can't even hold space for the small things that happen to you. Honestly, someone could chip in now and they're like, oh, I need drinks. And I'm just like, mate, feed me the half. Anyway, again, it's not a judgment thing. It might be criticism, but it's because I'm looking at you as a reflection of me, and I'm seeing how well I've actually handled everything that I've been experiencing emotionally. And I'm grateful for that, because not everybody is able to. And so me showing up is like, I just want to be an example of what happens when you actually do face the pain that you experience, and you can be honest with yourself about how people make you feel, even when it is your family, even when it is the people who say that they love you, even when it's tough, man. Even when you feel alone, even when you don't want to be here anymore, you can find the light on the other side, and it's all inside of you. So you just have to work through that darkness and those upset feelings. Sometimes I feel like I should be over this by now, because everybody brushed it off aside so easily. And so when I start crying, you'll see me just like, you will see me, I don't know how to describe what it is that I do. But again, all of this has just taught me what I don't want. That's what the first 25 years of my life did. And I'm freshly 26. I turned 26 on the 15th of March. And now I finally feel like I'm able to choose for myself. And it makes things difficult, sometimes a little bit hostile. Again, nobody is understanding my choices of, emotionally, you guys hurt me so much that I don't want to put myself in that position again. Everybody just kind of sees it as, Ebony is working hard on this thing that she's building, and so she doesn't have time for us anymore, and she's changing and this and that, and making it seem like I'm doing bougie babe. Me, I'm the furthest thing from, like, okay, I'm not the furthest thing from, I can be a bit bougie at times, and it's because I have to, like, I'm not being funny. A homeless man tried to move to me, and I just had to tell him, listen, you asked me for change, how are you trying to, ask me something about me in the shower, or I don't remember the conversation exactly, but like, all these decisions that I'm making about what I want for me and what I need has nothing to do with, actually it is a little bit to do with, I'm running a business, and so I don't want to be around people who put me down. I don't want to be around people who make me question my sanity because I'm upset about something that is genuinely so dark, like so dark. I don't want to be around people who are going to make me not trust myself, because every time I speak up about something I experienced, they tell me that's not what happened, or that's not how it happened. And I'm like, how can you tell me? Like, I'm the one in this experience. Like, I'm very much always thinking about, I started to notice how I can speak from my past experience sometimes. So I think I asked someone for some money or something to help me with something, and she was like, oh, I can't really help you with a lot, and I was like, bro, you can send me £20. She's like, Ebony, what are you gonna do with £20? I'm gonna send you 100. And I was like, thank you so much. Like, when I was in college and I asked my grandma for some help because I didn't have a job anymore and whatever, she literally said, why don't you have a job? So that's what I'm used to, and I'm learning to stop being used to that now. And so that means I have to stop going back to it. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next question, because I feel like that one will get answered properly when I journal. But again, this was just for me to like explore what comes up when I ask myself these questions. I'll show you how the waist bead is going. This is the Algeria one. So the African Rebel collection will be uploaded over the next couple of weeks, because as I do these lives, like I said, I've got 3 here, 4, however many I've got by the end of the day will go up this week onto TikTok Shop. And then you can also wear your flags on your waist and be unapologetic in who you are and who we are and how we are, because that's what it is. Like, all the things that are innate to us, that are like what we will call spiritual, have been stereotyped, stigmatized, almost banished. Like, honestly, when I first started delving into African spirituality, I felt like somebody was gonna come and burn me at a stake, and they tried to. That's essentially what cancel culture is. And they said that I'm mad, and they said this, and they said that and that, and I just had to have sympathy, because it's like, mate, you don't even know yourself that you're living in a system that is not yours. And that's why you can't do what you want to do, and that's why you can't thrive how you want to thrive, and that's why any time that you do, you feel guilty for it. Why is it that to dance, our own people, where dancing was something for us to express ourselves, for us to find ourselves, for us to communicate with the land, with the spirit, with the energy, you have to drink, like, and I'm not saying anything about people who drink, because I drink. I'm not right now. I don't know if I'm going to again. No, I don't know if I'm going to stop forever, is what I'm trying to say. But why do you have to be, like, absolutely burst to move your body when that's what we do? Because you've been taught to judge yourself. Because you've been taught that you have to be perfect, and that is not who we are at all. What is perfection? Everything is perfectly imperfect. And as soon as you learn that, you will have so much more grace for yourself, so much more love for yourself. And that's why I can be in so much pain and still believe in myself. That's why I can be in such a dark space and still believe that there's light, because I know that I can create that light myself. Whether it's through me dancing, whether it's through me expressing myself through colour and the way that I dress. Speaking of which, I have a Pretty Face Cultured Waist t-shirt on, which you can get on my TikTok shop, and we have some other designs as well of our merchandise, and we've actually got some new merchandise coming soon, but I'll say more about that later. But yeah, what was the question that I was answering? Oh, it was still about family, but I'm gonna move on to the next question, which says, do you trust yourself? Do you trust others? Do you trust life? Why or why not? So do I trust myself? Excuse me again. This question is opening up a lot for me. But I didn't trust myself for a really long time, and it's because I saw me betraying myself. I saw me have anger and hurt inside of me and say, oh no, I'm just going to put it down and I'm going to do what is expected of me. And that's what made me not trust myself, because it's like, Ebony, all you're showing me right now is that you're willing to choose others over me, and that's not going to lead me anywhere that is for me. And I think she just left the house because she didn't want to hear what I'm talking about, but we're not going to go into that right now anyway. Somebody get me out of here. Anyway, what was I saying? I was talking about trusting myself. And this is a moment where, instead of focusing on that, I'm going to focus on what I'm doing right now and what I'm speaking about. So yes. Do I trust myself now? I do. Because I can see that I'm willing to choose myself no matter what anyone thinks or has to say. I am willing to be different. Not even I'm willing to be different. I'm different anyway. And the conversation that I was having today with a shaman was like, don't see where you're trying to fit into somewhere and find out why. And it's like, the only reason why I've ever tried to fit in is because of how uncomfortable I make other people. Because people are very comfortable with making excuses for themselves. And I'm very much not an excuses person. So if you want to bring a complaint to me, I'm going to change that complaint into a question so you can find an answer. And not everyone wants that. But I do. And so I trust myself to discern who is really on my level. For so long, I was like, I don't like people. I do like people. I don't like people who... I don't like people who aren't like me. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I just know that my life is so much better. So I'm so much happier. I'm so much more joyful. So much more creative when I am around people who can reflect to me who it is that I am and who I'm trying to be. And so, do I trust others? I trust people who trust themselves. For people who look outside of themselves for the answers, I can't trust you. Because somebody can come and influence you. Everybody knows what they want. For the people who don't trust themselves, they're willing to let someone else tell them how to get it. And this is where you start making choices that are not, I can't trust you. Because if that person tells you to snake me for the thing that you want, you're going to do it. Because you feel like that's going to give you what it is that you're after. But if you listen to yourself, I know that anybody on this earth who listens to their own intuition, your intuition is never going to lead you into trouble because that's not what it's there for. And so, do I trust myself? Yes, I do, because my gut instinct is very, very strong. Like, I'm blessed with that, with a very strong intuition. And do I trust others? The people who I choose to trust, yes, I do. What I actually just realized is I do trust people. I trust people to be themselves and to reveal themselves. And so that's why I'm always listening and reading between the lines. Somebody can say something, but I can feel the energy behind that. Whether it's, someone saying, what did she say? Okay, I went somewhere recently and someone was like, she was saying bye, see you soon. But during the day, I made her uncomfortable. And so when she said see you soon, it was like bye, I'll see you soon. Like, she's like, I don't ever want to see you again in my life. So why are you saying see you soon to you? I will not be seeing you again, madam. But it's just things like that. And so yes, once I learn to trust myself, I can then see who I can trust. And I know that it's my choice. Like, the empowerment is all in me and what I give energy to. If I know that she said see you soon like that, I'm not going to message her and invite her to my event because you don't want to be around me. So I'm not going to force it. And that's what it is. Do I trust life? Yes, I do, because I don't force anything. I know that where there's a will, there's a way. And I know that if something is not for me, it's not ever going to be for me. Or maybe it's just not for me right now. And I'm okay with that. Like, being present is what I need right now. Because things that I used to think, ways that I used to behave, things that I used to do, it's not the same anymore. And giving myself permission to accept that is what is making me trust life. Because it's like, okay, I see that I'm on a new wave right now, so I'm going to let you guide me. I'm going to let you put me in spaces and places and see how I respond. Whether it's a space that reminds me of an old space and I now decide and choose, this is not the space for me, I don't think I'll be back here again. Or whether you put me in a new space that I was so afraid to be in. And I'm like, damn, what have I been doing? Literally, what have I been doing? And so that's like where I am right now with trust in life. Even I can trust that all the pain that I've experienced has built me and not broken me. And that doesn't mean that I don't break. Actually, it broke me down so that I could build me up. And it's always the balance. Like, I don't want to lie to you. It's not just all sunshines, roses and positivity. It's very much like going through many negative experiences and deciding I'm not gonna replicate those experiences because I don't want that energy to come to me again. Going back to the family question and again this thing of trust, when I told my family about my abuse, my father said that it was my fault. When I told my father about the things that I went through at uni, again, it's my fault. And what I'm really upset about is I accepted that. I accepted it as my fault, and so I didn't speak up. I didn't get help. I couldn't speak to my partner because it's like, I just fuck things up. I make people abuse me. That was what was... That's a really hard thing to be told when the first time you was abused, you was 4 years old. I'm starting to unlearn that in terms of knowing that it's not my fault. And it is my responsibility to love me. And that's where I am now. For a really long time, I felt ugly. I didn't trust anybody. I thought that people just wanted to come in and abuse me, and it would be my fault. But I realized if we're really going to assign fault, I blame the people who raised me to not be able to say no because they can't hear it. The people who raised me to say thank you to them even when they did nothing because they wanted to feel like they were doing something. And obviously as a child, I thought it was right because I thought they was doing everything, and then we grow up and we see who they really are. And it's very disappointing. But because I can be honest about what I've witnessed, what I've experienced, and how I feel about it, I can trust life. I know that the way in which my father speaks to me and treats me, I don't want to experience that from any man in my life. And I've been with men like him. I've been with a man who, on the first day of Ramadan a couple years ago, and I was not a Muslim. Literally, I wasn't a Muslim before that. This was before I took my Shahada. But I'm not a Muslim now. Anyway, on the first day of Ramadan, I went out. Oh yeah, I was doing some stuff for the event I was hosting. By the way, let's take a little quick break before I tell that story, because here is the Algeria Bead. And we're going to move on to the second one. But as I was saying, I was preparing for an event I was hosting. And I wore low-cut bootcut jeans and a crop jumper. And when I got back, the guy I was seeing came back with his friend, who's years younger than me. Anyway, and he's like, oh, why is your lower back out? And he scrunched up a t-shirt and he dashed it at me. And it stung my face. And from that day, I swear down, I still think about it sometimes, and I know I'm laughing. But it's because I'm like, how do you throw a t-shirt at someone and it causes them pain? Like, he really had to throw that with disgust and anger. And in that moment, I felt like I deserved it. I started to criticize the way I dressed or the way in which I wanted to the point where now I'm learning to give myself permission to wear what I want to wear. But for a long time, I couldn't. And the other day when I was at my dad's, imagine I went to chill with him for my birthday, and he tried to patronize me about what I wear. And I said to my mother, he's lucky I'm not like a reactive person, because I would go and do some stupid shit and post it online and be like, I hope you like my outfit. Even with that, yeah, like, I don't want to do anything to prove to him that I'm not listening to him, because he should know that by now already. Why would I listen to you? Oh, anyway, this is not... I don't want to get into it personally. Because it's not... I don't think I'm better than a man. But I know that I would have made way better choices as a father. And I had to be that father for myself. So I don't expect you to come in now and try and tell me what to do. He's feeling a guilt because of what I've had to experience. And the only reason why he's feeling that guilt is because I'm finally speaking up about it. And so yes, I trust life because I'm aware of these things now. I'm aware of the fact that I can't be on live in my mother's house and she can respect that because she can hear what I'm speaking about and she's just gonna leave. And that's okay, because I don't need her hurt anyway. Anyway, we're gonna move on from the root chakra now and we're gonna move to the sacral chakra. Not sacral, sorry. My solar plexus. So the first question is, what makes you feel ashamed of yourself and why? For a really long time, I was ashamed about how I feel about my family. But after just speaking about them, I don't blame me at all. So what am I ashamed about? I'm ashamed of the fact that... I'm ashamed of my body count. And it's because a lot of it was abuse or coercion. I didn't know that I could say no. And actually, like, that is enough. Because I've said no many a times to people I was speaking to, yeah, I've said no to people I was speaking to, and they didn't hear it. They took it as, oh, she's not really in the mood, let me get her in the mood. And I don't like that I let them do that to me, but it's because I felt like I had to. And it's because when I was young, someone did that to me, and then my dad told me to be quiet about it, and that made it okay. And so that was just something that I was used to, and I didn't realize how uncomfortable it made me, and I didn't realize a lot of things in relation to that. So that's what I'm ashamed of. I'm ashamed of the fact that I didn't stand up for myself so many times. I'm ashamed of how I let these men treat me. And not just men, because again, that is just the sexual abuse, but there's emotional abuse from friends and colleagues, and there was just a lot. And I didn't know that I was in such a weak space before, and so I know I'm not supposed to judge myself for that, but I do really feel ashamed of it. The guy who took my virginity, I spoke to him on the phone for a year before I went to see him, because I had strict parents, and so I couldn't really go anyway. He slept with my best friend before he took my virginity and lied to me about it, and so did she. She lied to me about it as well and convinced me to go and lose my virginity to him. When I lost my virginity, I told him I wasn't ready and I didn't want to do it, but he didn't listen to me, and so he did it. I cried. I went home. I blocked him, and 9 months later, we started speaking again. A couple weeks after that, he went to jail. Literally like a month and 2 weeks after. And years into him being in jail, I brought it up. Because he tried to say that after we had sex, what he had said was, I'm glad that I kept talking to you because you used to be a dead thing. And I was like, hey, you took my virginity. So, in the moment when he took it, I was in love with him. And again, it's just because I was in a very insecure space, and so I needed someone to pay me attention, and specifically him, because I wanted someone who could stand up to my dad for me, essentially. And so who am I going to go to? I'm going to go to the roadman. What? My dad's little brother is a roadman, and he's punched my dad in the face a couple times. And so I think that's just what I naturally drew myself to. But obviously, through experience and many things, I now understand that wasn't someone who could fight in my corner. Or maybe at the time he could, but right now that stuff cannot pass. But anyway, what I was trying to say was, okay, so he said that he had blocked me after because I was a dead thing, and I was like, that's not what happened. I blocked you because I said I wasn't ready to have sex. And he was like, oh yeah, I know, but he essentially said, I don't tell the story that way because it makes me uncomfortable. And I said, okay. Like, I was okay. I don't even know what to say to that, honestly. But that's what he said. And so, the year before last year, the end of 2023, I phoned him on Snapchat. And I said, you basically raped me. And he said, yeah, you're kind of right and you're kind of wrong. I said, what do you mean by that? He's like, oh, well, you know what I mean. Anyway, I see you on the stage doing your thing and that. I hung up the phone and I blocked him. Because I was like, are you fucking stupid? Did you hear what I just said to you? And look how calm you are about it. And I realised it's because I never used to speak up. I used to let people get away with whatever they wanted. And it's because that's what I was used to. And so I had to learn that I'm worth more than that. And I might not have spoken up back then, but I can speak up for me now. And I'm not going to hide what anybody did to me, because that is again choosing other people over me, and that was a pattern that I learned from my relationship with my family, and so I appreciate them for showing me where that comes from so that I can change it. And yeah, I'm learning to be less ashamed of my abuse. The world has labeled me a whore and a hoe and a Jezebel and all of these things because of the abuse itself, and also because of the aftermath of that. Because again, if the first time I was abused I lost my virginity when I was 16, and then I ended up in situations where there was a time where I was waiting for my link at some party, and my battery died, and so I left with Darnell, a mutual friend closer to him than to me. I didn't even need to say his name, but anyway, I left with him to go charge my phone at his place, and I didn't know that he had plans for me. I didn't know he was looking at me like that. So I'm charging my phone and he's trying to put it on me, and I'm like, oh, I want to leave. He's locked the door and he's hid the key, and from there I'm like, oh, it's finished. And that I had already accepted defeat before he even tried to touch me. I'd already like, okay, I know how this is gonna go. And so we did whatever. We had sex, and then he fell asleep, and I think I tried to leave, and he was like, no, like, don't leave yet. And even that, I was like, okay, fine. So I just laid there. And then I think when he finally fell asleep, I either left while he was sleeping, or I woke up at like 7 o'clock in the morning and I said, can I go now? And that, ouch. Okay. It was just uncomfortable. And I didn't say anything to anybody, because I didn't know that I should. And that's because of my dad. That guy is such a horrible man, but anyway. I think I need a second. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna bead for a second while I just breathe, because I've opened up this can of worms now, and I just need a second to breathe. So thank you for those who are tuning in, for holding space for me, for, I guess, the respect. Maybe I should like play a song.
be alarmed, remain calm. Do not attempt to leave the dance floor. The DJ booth is conducting a troubleshoot test.
Thank you guys for tuning in. I am making African flag waist beads for our African Rebel collection. This is Angola. I made Algeria. But we also have, oh, I just remembered I need to label them because some of the flags are similar. I don't want to confuse them.
Oh baby, oh baby,
I can't find my stickers. Oh, actually.
oh baby, oh baby.
Unique. We're gonna get back to healing and the questions in a second. I'm just gonna label the waist beads. I'm the bar. And we might actually read some affirmations from the Cultured Waist book. So I printed some pictures from my first year in business, and then every time I do like an event or a pop-up, I ask women to write affirmations in there. So I'm gonna share some of them with you. Don't forget that I'm gonna be on live till 5 or 6 p.m. So yeah, we got Nigeria. Ooh. A different pen. Oh yeah, what's with this? And you know what? I'll be honest, that was kind of sad. So I'm gonna top up my lip gloss. We're gonna pick it up. We got okay, we'll do this one. And then I'm gonna go back to my shadow work questions. I think I'm doing well. I used to cry better, I used to love better, I used to drink never, I used to take lesser. It didn't, communication, it didn't tell me that you're losing love ever. Me and my eyes, what is this insane disguise? You treat me like a maniac. How do you lose that love so fast? 'Cause I'm still stuck in the times we had, and you still treat me like a maniac. A maniac, a maniac, a maniac. You still treat me like a maniac, a maniac, a maniac. You still treat me like I didn't mean to. I swear I'm no pretender. I wouldn't hurt you ever. Can you never? I wish I would have told you that you needed better. Can't you look me in my eyes? What is this insane disguise? You treat me like a maniac. How do you lose that love so fast? 'Cause I'm still stuck in the times we had. You still treat me like a maniac. A maniac, a maniac. You still treat me like a maniac, a maniac, a maniac. You still treat me like to show you will never learn, you will never learn. Goes to show when I reveal myself, you call me crazy. Treat me like a maniac. How do you lose that love so fast? 'Cause I'm still stuck in the times we had, and you still treat me like a maniac. A maniac, a maniac, yeah. You still treat me like, you still treat me like. Okay, we'll get back to that in a second. I'm gonna. Oh! I'm gonna sage again just to clear any like. I can get scared to speak up sometimes, especially when my mum leaving the house while I'm speaking. But I had to reaffirm myself and remind myself that her rejection is for me. It's my protection. I know what she's like anyway, so she's not exactly a safe space. And so now that she's not in the house, I can really speak honestly. And I know I don't have to protect them anymore because ain't nobody over there protecting me. So, yeah. All right. So, we did some root chakra shadow journaling prompts, and now we're doing solar plexus, which is all about your wisdom, your self-trust, your confidence. And so the first question was a bit heavy for me, but I'm going to move on to the next question. But first, I'm going to flick to a random page and read one of the affirmations from our Pretty Face Cultured Ways community. And this was made on the 7th of March by Marsha V. Oh, she's the CEO of Solo Flair, who's also designing my award ceremony dress for the Young Leader Award of the Year, Inspirational Youth Awards. If you haven't voted for me, go to my portfolio link and vote for your girl. I also got nominated for Speaker of the Year with Women's Business Club, so go and vote for your girl. But it says, I am bad, I am courteous. Is that what it says? I think so. I am bad, or does it say I am courageous? I think it says I am courageous. Sorry, I don't even have my glasses on. I am strong, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Love, Alchemist Marsha V. And we do love some Marsha V. So, what was I doing? Oh, we was making the Angola waist bead and going to the next question. Ooh. I told you, anytime I get a bit triggered or fearful, I start spilling beads. And so I'm just going to take a couple of deep breaths again. Cool. What is next? If you have a gentle personality, what scares you about anger? If you have a rough personality, what scares you about softening up and letting go? So, this question is weird for me because I have a little bit of both. In certain areas of my life, I have such a soft personality and I'm scared to be angry at people. And it's because every time I've been angry in the past, like, it's been too much for people to take. And so I end up feeling bad about having to be so stern with them. But I realized how they needed that. These are people who are comfortable with getting away with things and not holding themselves accountable. And so I'm learning to be firmer where I need to. Because again, I was saying to this lady at this event, yeah, like, if someone's moving to me and they're not hearing it, I will show them, I'll knock you out, you know, because they get too comfortable. And especially because I've been abused before and coerced and all of that, like, people don't respect your boundaries until you show them, like, does it have to get violent? And I won't ever take it to that level unless it really needs to. But don't play, like, because I'm so sweet and because I smile, that's why I have to be so tough. But I recognize where that's why I said it's weird for me, because I both have a tough personality where it can be hard for me to soften up sometimes, and it's because people can sometimes abuse that and manipulate that, and that was something that I was used to. So what scares me about softening up and letting go, I guess vulnerability scared me because people didn't respect my vulnerability. They just used it. So with my family, when I needed a shoulder to cry on or lean on because of my child abuse, they kind of allowed me to be around and cry, or they'll tell me not to cry and all of these things, but they only keep me around because I have a business. And that's not nice. So that's where my rough side comes in. And then on the softer side of why I'm scared of anger, again, my emotions change the weather. Like, generally, if I'm stormy, everything around me is going to be stormy. Like, everything and everyone can feel it. And that's why people often blame me. There was a time I was running an event, volunteering for this project. I did all of the work. The owner of the charity, who's a boy and he's younger than me, he's coming to the event revving his car across the sand, flaring up bare dust and stuff, to the point where the team from the Commonwealth Games that we was working with, the guy who put us in touch with them, he said, oh, I don't know who that is, like, Ebony's in charge. And I was like, thank you. Even though I didn't get to, like, make any connections or anything, I don't know why. It always went to whoever owned the charity. But yeah, like, he came in like that. I'm asking the team, can you do this, do that? They're not doing it. 2 people went flying. They went missing for like 2 hours of the event. So I had to do everything myself. And I'm obviously not going to be very happy about it. For someone to come, for the owner of the charity's mum to come to me and say, Ebony, you're just ruining the vibes. What do you mean I'm ruining the vibes? I'm the only person running this event. So, yeah. What scares me about anger, it's noticed. Like, it can't be ignored. It's felt. And I feel like it should be. Again, it's that thing of, like, playing small because I don't want to make other people uncomfortable. But they have to face themselves now. I'm tired of just letting people get away with what they want to. And sitting here with all this emotional baggage because I have nowhere or no way of releasing it because I feel guilty and I feel bad. I'm not doing that anymore. That is horrid. Absolutely horrible, especially when you're the one who's actually in pain and you're the one who's actually, like, yeah, it's not great. The next question says, imagine holding a ball of fire in your hand. If you could set something or someone on fire without fear of consequence, who would it be or what would it be and why? So, I think when I first wrote this question down, I knew straight away who it would be. It would be he's not actually my cousin, but we've grown together as cousins. He was born 9 months after me, came to the same uni as me. Yeah. So when we was younger, he used to touch me. A couple things happened as we was growing up. And obviously he came to the same uni as me. It wasn't anything like that then. I just used to be in fear around him. And he used to tell me what to do. And I used to cook for him and do this for him and do that. And send him money just because he's my cousin. And take care of him and really love him and treat him like family. And I know he never did the same. When I told one of my friends who had met him at uni about my child abuse with him, she was like, I'm not gonna lie, like, we kind of thought he had a crush on you. Like, we didn't know he was your cousin at first until he said it, because of the way that he moves around you. Like, he will very much tell me what to do, what to wear, where to go, all of these things. And I guess because of the way I was raised, I always had a problem with it. Like, I never listened to him, but I would take it into consideration. Or I would hide myself or certain parts of myself so that he can be comfortable with me. And when I told my family about what happened, he didn't just touch me. He touched quite a few of us in the house. Obviously, he's not our blood cousin, so maybe he was coming around like, oh, this ain't actually my family, so I can do what I want here. I remember beating him up as a child and saying what he was doing and being called a liar by his mom, being told to shut up by my dad, just bare weird things, man. But I would throw the ball of fire at him, and it's because when I did speak up about what happened to me, and he said, I don't know what you're talking about, and so everyone started saying I need to go to a mental hospital. But then he said to someone else in the family that he used to touch, oh, if you're happy to just move on from it, like, I'm calm. So if I'm lying and it never happened, what is there to move on from with her that you can't move on from with me because you don't want to admit it? She's not breaking down over it. She doesn't business. I do. So I would throw that ball of fire at him. He made me not like myself. He made me not trust myself. He made me not trust. He made me feel like I ruined the family because now it's awkward or whatever, because I'm the only person who has a problem with this. My auntie said to me, oh, well, tell me what happened. If he only touched your nunny, then it's not that deep. And this is the kind of family that I come from. where she's been through abuse before and all she can do is project her ignorance onto me because she's not facing her pain herself. She can't. And so to me, you're gonna come and tell me that my pain is not that deep. Because of this cousin, my favorite like person in my family, the closest person to me, my twin, we don't speak anymore. Even when I try and check up on me, he don't chat to me. And that broke, like, it actually broke my heart. He even said to me, are you sure that even happened? Because why did you wait so long to say it? Does it seem like something easy to say? Even if you look at who this guy is, in terms of the guy who was my cousin, all of his female friends that he had at uni, he touched all of them. And not, like, without consent or whatever. And I want to make that clear. When we was younger, it wasn't that, like, he was forcing himself on me. It's just that he asserted that dominance over me, I guess, and it was something I was used to because of the guy who touched me when I was 4. And that guy who touched me when I was 4, he was a friend of my dad and my cousin's mum. And he's in jail for rape right now. So everyone kind of knows. It's just no one has anything to say. And so I'm just here on my own. I'm not alone anymore. And I'm so grateful for that. The guy that I'm head over heels in love with, when I used to speak to my cousin about him, why do you even like him? Oh, you still like him? Like, he was just the biggest hater. And so I would throw that fireball at him and tell him, shut up. And face your truth, because you're disgusting. Today is Eid. They're all over there doing kiki la ha ha. And all thinking that he's this good you or whatever. And he's not. Like, he's very much he's a predator. He uses women through sex for what he needs. Like, he makes women take him out and stuff. And I don't rate it at all. And I'm glad I've finally given myself space to say that. Because he was literally like my best friend. All the opportunities that I gave myself access to, I invited him. Again, he was at the same uni as me. Even before he came to the same uni as me. When he came to visit, where did he stay? He stayed at mine and I stayed with my friends just so that he could stay there. Like, I inconvenienced myself for him so many times. And I was encouraged to do that. Oh, I didn't even get to the worst part, fam. Imagine when I've finally spoken up about, like, the Rakeem thing. Because, again, this is something that my family did. When we was growing up, oh, Ebony and Rakeem, because we're only 9 months apart. Cool, fairs, whatever. It can be cute, but don't force us on each other. Don't make us hold hands and do this and do that. So I'm chatting to my dad about this thing after he's called me a liar and all of these things, and he's saying, oh, you're just trying to make me look like a bad dad because everything is about him. And he said to me, I wasn't even, like, in on this plan. Basically, apparently there was some kind of agreement when we was young that me and him will get married for the sake of our families. Well, you know, I don't even find it funny. I'm just like, you guys have been making choices for my life, but you don't even know me. You don't know anything about me. Why would you think I was gonna, like, why would you raise 2 people to say that they're cousins? Obviously, these things are going on in secret, and I think that nobody knows. Maybe they even did know, and they just didn't care because they just wanted it to happen. I don't fucking know. But it was just rank. It was just disgusting. I'm really, like, upset that I had to go through all of that, but I know it was for a reason as well, and so kind of is what it is. But yeah, that's the answer to my question in terms of holding a ball of fire and throwing it at him, because he doesn't exist in my life anymore. And I'm finally in a space where I can cut off my family who feel like it's okay to put me in a group chat where he is, because it's a family group chat. I said, okay, all right. His mother, when I finally spoke up about it, she said to me that I'm just blaming my shitty little life on her and her son. If my life is so shitty, why are you so into my business? If my life is so shitty, why did you... If I'm chatting shit just so that you and your son, for some reason, because I just want to come after you and your son, why did you pay to refurbish my grandma's house straight after I told the truth? Okay. So yeah, that fireball can go at my cousin and his mother. And anybody who wants to protect them and tell them, well, we're not going to cut them off because we don't have a problem with them, the fire can go to you too. Because that's not loyalty. Cool. I'm going to take a deep breath again because this is a lot. Alrighty. The next question says, in your most dark moments, what makes you feel empty and unworthy? In my most dark moments, what makes me feel empty and unworthy? It is... in my most dark moments, what makes me feel empty and unworthy? I've been going through financial adversity since, I don't even know when this stuff started. When I was in secondary school and I was living with my dad, if I needed something, he would tell me to ask my mum, even though he was my primary caregiver and he was receiving the child benefit or whatever. That shit didn't go to me. When I went to my mum, I couldn't ask her for anything because she was battling addiction and selling my shit so that she could smoke weed. So what made me feel unworthy and empty was that my parents didn't prioritize me. I went to my dad's house the other day, like I said, and he basically said something along the lines of, why are you being so selfish? You know I have other children. Yeah, you do, but you've never ever looked out for me in the same way that you look out for them. And they're not even all of them are your children. And I didn't say anything to get him to say that to me. He just did. And he did it in his vindictive, very, what I say goes, and this is what it is. And I just said, okay, because I didn't have the energy to argue with him. I have already cut my hair off. I don't have any more hair to cut. And every time I've cut my hair off before, it's because my dad has said something to me that made me feel so fucked up. My dad told me that I should just admit that he fucked me up. And I said, wow. What he made me ask, what is wrong with me? Anytime I needed support, nobody had it for me. But every time they wanted to do something for themselves, they had it. The whole dad side of my family, I asked for some financial help because of what I was experiencing. And nobody had it. But everybody's traveling, everybody's doing this and everybody's doing that. So you're telling me, I'm not asking you for grands, bro. I could be asking for £50. Never had it for me. But when I graduate, when the short film that I directed and produced is being premiered, oh, why didn't you invite anybody? Because you weren't fucking there. You wasn't there when I was ill, trying to finish my degree, doing this project, going through my toxic relationship on my own. Nobody was. When I went to my uni and I asked them for help and they said no because you're choosing to volunteer. And I tried to explain to them I'm choosing to volunteer because when I finish uni, they're not just going to give me a job because I have a degree. They said, oh, well, that's your problem. I don't know if I can do this. So what makes me feel empty and unworthy? The lack of support that has always been there. There's always been people around me, but I've always been on my own. And I've always had to do everything by myself. And like I was saying, when I was in secondary school, my dad told me to go to my mum, and my mum didn't have it. I started stealing my clothes. If I didn't, I would have been wearing the same underwear from like year 8 to year 11. There's been times when I couldn't afford period pads, and I'm a girl, and that made me feel empty and unworthy. Like, I genuinely, when I'm in a dark space, I feel like a tramp. And it's because of what I could do for myself and what I couldn't. It's not because of what I could do, it's because of what I couldn't do for myself. And it made me feel like there was something wrong with me because I didn't have money. Normally when people don't have money, it's because something is wrong, like something's going wrong, right? Or they're doing something wrong, and it seemed like no matter what I would try, I would do something wrong. And I think it's just because I was so willing to give to people who would never give to me. And who would only give to me out of obligation. And so it's very funny that my dad will say, oh, you can't just say that nobody helps you. You never asked. Yes, I did. And you ignored me. Yes, I did. And you said, oh, I don't have it for you right now. But every time I came around, you had drink and you had smoke to do what you wanted to do with your friends. And you're explaining yourself to me. You're saying, oh yeah, this is just how I live my life. I don't want this and I don't want that. That's fine if you don't want this and you don't want that. I didn't say that you should. Just is where it is. When I prematurely announced to my dad that basically I ran a little experiment, and maybe I shouldn't have done it, but I told my family, I told my dad that I'm about to make a meal. Oh yeah, now you can take your sisters on holiday. The same sisters that ignored me when I was self-harming. The same sisters that don't chat to me but will comment on my social media because to make it seem like we have a relationship. The same sisters who I sacrificed so much for and I showed up for every single moment that I could. And when I needed them, they were ghost. They're not my sisters. Anyway, I'm done with that question for now. Or is there anything else that makes me feel empty and unworthy? I think in my darkest moments, I just feel alone. In my experience, in my life, in my hardship, my adversity, everyone's like, a problem shared is a problem solved, and at least you're never alone. And I know that I'm not alone because I speak to my ancestors and I pray and I engage with nature, and that's how I don't feel alone. So before I smile at someone walking at their dog, I say hello to the dog. And that's just me. So yeah. All right, next we're going to do some throat chakra questions. What time is it? And how long have we been on live? It is 2:40, so it's been an hour and 40 minutes. It's tough, but I'm getting through it. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Okay. At least it's clearing. That's all I can be grateful for. Okay, throat chakra. What was the biggest lie you ever told? When I wrote this question down, I knew what I was going to have to speak about. And I'm glad that my mum's not here because now I can actually talk about it. So when I was in year 7, my mum got sectioned again. And when my mum was mentally ill, she used to say really horrible things to me. Like, I should be ashamed of myself and I should look at the floor when I walk. And so until I was 19 years old, I walked like this. Sometimes with a book in my hand, and if not, just literally staring at the floor. And over the years, as I've tried to grow in my confidence, she's always been there to knock me back down, or to tell me that I'm so weird, or to this or that. And so in year 7, when I moved schools and I moved back to my dad, someone asked me something about my mum, and I said my mum's dead. And that was the biggest lie that I ever told, and I felt so guilty about it. But I know what I meant. Spiritually, she was dead. There was no love inside of her. I didn't have a mother anymore. And I've tried to have a relationship with her, but it requires so much of me sacrificing myself that I can't, like, on an unforgivable amount, I can't do it anymore. Again, which is why, like, I just did a cord cutting, and as soon as I get back to the crib, she's just standing in my room as I'm moving it around. And I'm like, okay. Then, what did she say? She said something like, oh, why am I just standing here watching you? That's how you know there's nothing on TV. So I just make a joke out of it. That's the thing. When I'm here, I'm the funniest. I'm funnier than Kevin Hart. And it's because I'm so uncomfortable, I have to make jokes to make me comfortable. Even when I was putting up my, this thing, she was like, oh, we're going to do read the future or something like that. And I just said, yeah, I might as well go get a crystal ball. And I laughed it off. Because they don't respect anything that's important to me. But they try and stick around enough so that they know what's going on with my business. When I made money in my business the first time, everybody ate. What? Anything I got for myself, I either shared with my mum or I got her one too. I remember years ago, it was during that time in college when I didn't really have any money and I really needed help. And I remember she asked me to come with her to buy food. So we went to this kebab shop. She bought her kebab. And that was it. We came back. And I think I came home and I cried because I was hungry. Like, and those are experiences that are normal to me that I just got used to. So when my bestie will come round and ask me, like, or say he's ordering food, do I want some? And I say no. It's just because I'm not used to it. But yeah, I'm breaking out of that now. So it don't really matter as much anymore. The next waist bead that we are making is for Benin. And it's green, yellow, and red. So I'm just going to move this around. Because it's that green, yellow, then red. But that's the biggest lie that I've ever told. And that is why I told it. Because she's my biggest hater. And at the time, she was dead to me, and I'm slowly returning to that feeling. I've tried to have empathy, because again, she did get sectioned. She does have bipolar affective disorder, but I know where it stems from. My mum has this disgusting attitude of, like, feeling better than people. And I can tell you for a fact, she ain't better than nobody. I don't know, man. Anyway, the next question says, if you were told to write in the voice of your inner critic right now, what would it say to you? It would say, Ebony, I know that you're in pain, but you can do so much better. And I really did allow myself to make many choices out of pain. Like, for the past year and a bit, I have been self-harming through eating. I would force myself to eat things that my body does not agree with, that actually hurt me. I had this, like, strain from my neck here all the way down to my hip. And I kept feeding it and feeding it and feeding it because I was still in pain. Like, literally every day, something will happen, or she'll say something, or she'll look at me away, and it would cause me pain. Literally, my dad will phone me just to say whatever it is that he wanted to say. And at the end of every phone call, I was raised to, at the end of every day, say, "Good night, Daddy, love you. Good morning, Daddy." At the end of every meal, say, "Thank you, Mommy, thank you, Daddy." And my dad more time didn't pay for the food or cook it. So again, that entitlement. And so every time I had to do it, it triggered me. And I think I'm just done doing it now. And that's what my inner critic is like, "Ebony, grow some fucking balls, man." My inner critic is like, "Ebony, grow some balls." I don't know if they're gonna shadow ban my stuff because I'm swearing, but I don't really care. But anyway, my inner critic is saying to grow some balls because I know that how I'm being treated, spoken to, even neglected is wrong. And I don't have to be okay with it. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to go there and start making up a whole heap of noise and telling them, "Why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that?" Because I don't feel like I need to impose anything on anybody. So what I really must do is now figure out what it is that I need and how I can create it for myself. And that's the work that needs to be done now, because I need to speak up about what I need. I've been so quiet for so long. So if someone asks me anything of choice, if you ask me, "What do you want to eat?" Don't even ask me an open-ended question that could have any answer based on what I want. Ask me, "Do you want this or this?" And even that will send, like, my mind racing, running. I'm like, I'm not sure. I can you choose? And I get really overwhelmed. And I think it's time to just let that go and know that I can make choices for me. I can have what I want. So if somebody asks me, "What do I want to eat?" really think about it. What do I want? Why am I crying again? Just because of what do I want to eat? Okay. That is the beautiful thing about, like, releasing pain. It releases in so many different ways. It releases through tears. It releases through laughter. It releases through gas. It releases, like, burps and farts. It releases through number ones and number twos on the toilet. It releases through sweat. It releases through... There's just so many ways to release your trauma. And me making waist beads is when I have the time to sit down and do that. And to channel that energy of alchemy and transformation and self-empowerment, self-love into the beads. And so as I do this here again, it's just to show you how you can really take charge of your life and have what you want, because you can. Just because that's what's being offered to you, it doesn't mean that that's what you must take. Oh, so normally I apologize when I cry, but I'm really done with that now. So yeah. The next question says, "Notice how the following statement makes you feel. I deserve to speak up and be listened to. How do these words sit with you?" Those words feel like the truth to me. And for so long I felt like, but no, those words those words sound and feel like the truth, but for so long I thought that it couldn't be my truth. Because I was speaking up and I wasn't being listened to. I was being gaslighted and I was being dismissed and I was being attacked for speaking up. And now I have to face the fact that whether they want to call themselves my family or not, my relatives are not the people who can listen to me. And that sometimes I don't want to speak up because of the things I've been through, because they're harsh, they're dark, they're painful. And I don't want to trauma dump, as people say. But to me, I don't really trauma dump. I'll speak about my pain, but it's never in a way of like, this is why I am this way and da da da. Like, I never use my pain as an excuse for anything. My pain has always been the cause of my purpose. And so I really feel like I need to sit with the fact that I deserve to speak up and be listened to. And this is a way that I'm trying to do that. So I'm not really paying attention too tough to if there's comments, if there's likes, if there's this or if there's that, because honestly, I just need a safe space to speak. And this is the space where I've created that for me. And it's because, one, having a conversation out loud helps me find clarity. Two, having a conversation and having other people listen and hear you and affirm is very grounding for me because I'm so used to being gaslit. And three, showing up on this platform and sharing it, the repost goes on YouTube, and allowing other people to hear how I'm processing through my trauma, again, is an example of how different life can be. Because a lot of people go through stuff and they become the hurt people who hurt people. And I'm not one of those. I can very much say that even though my relatives have hurt me so much, there's still little bits of love in there for them. But I love myself enough now to know that I deserve to speak up and be listened to. And so I'm going to find the spaces that are safe for me to speak up, to be heard, to be recognized, not just for the pain that I've experienced, because I don't need to be pitied, but for what I've done with it. And so I need to be championed, because not everybody can understand that. When I speak about some of the adversity that I've been through, not everybody gets it or sees it as adversity, and they just see it as the way that the world is, and that's not the truth. We've gotten so used to like found it. But we've gotten so used to, we've normalized things. We've normalized disrespect. We've normalized deception. And so a lot of people are walking around with these masks and acting out of these masks, and we give them the grace because maybe they have money, or maybe they have influence and power in the world, and I don't know. But again, a lot of stuff has been normalized, and I can't take that disrespectful treatment as normal, because I'm a person, and me being a person means that my birthright is to be me. My birthright is to be respected. My birthright is to be loved. And that doesn't mean that you have to accept me and all of my choices. That doesn't mean that you have to smother me in compliments and really like me. You can still not like me and love me, because you're going to give me the space that I need away from you. You're going to recognize that, oh, this person is not for me, so I'm not going to trouble them. And that's the issue. I was watching a video the other day about envy, and how when people act out of their envy, it often leads them to try and be so close to you. And I was like, damn, that actually makes sense. Because again, my mum will come in my room and she'll stand there and she'll stare at me while I'm doing whatever I'm doing. But she'll stand there with the most disgusted look on her face. Like, why does this girl even exist? And for a really long time, my parents did that. Oh, you was an accident. Like, my mum told me that when I was young. And I carried that. You was an accident. And my dad installed that you're a burden. With, if it wasn't for you, I could do this and I could do that. Oh, I had to buy you food when I could have done this and I could have done that. And these are things that were true to me for so long. That I was a mistake. That I wasn't supposed to be here. But through finding a purpose, as in something that I do, that not only changes my life, but changes the lives of those who come into contact with me, it made me realize that I was supposed to be here. So whether they wanted me here or not, whether they feel like I'm in the way, like, I don't have to live in that anymore. And I think that's going to be beautiful for me because I'm not used to it. I'm not used to being around people who actually want me there. I'm used to being around people who just, I don't know, tolerate me being there. And I don't want to be tolerated. I want to be accepted for who I am, not who you want me to be. I don't want to have to be quiet just so that I can be around. That's not self-love to me. Because this is why I'm so used to rejection. And this is why I almost expect it everywhere I go. But I'm learning to see now that these people who are rejecting me are really not for me. Like, they really can't see themselves. Or it's not even that they can't, they really don't want to. And that's why when I come around and I'm like, hey, I'm a walking mirror, because I'm always doing self-reflection. And so if you do something, I'm going to look at that in relation to me and I'm going to speak up on that. And they don't like that. They really don't like that. But yeah. The next question is, were you listened to as a child? No, I was not. Because again, I was 4 years old when my dad's friend touched me and he told me not to say that. When I was in I've told this story before as well, but when I was in secondary school, my dad said he was coming to parents' evening and he just didn't show up after me waiting outside the gate for hours. And I was crying and upset and trying to explain to him how I felt like a loser and I felt like he didn't care. He just laughed at me and said, what is wrong with you? Do you want something to cry for? Like, you're just making a big deal out of nothing. So no, I wasn't listened to. There's just so many examples of how I wasn't listened to. I don't know, this isn't about me being listened to, but another thing that like relates to me being able to speak up is just people lying on my behalf. And so when I was born, my grandma had told everyone in the church that she was my mum, because my mum was only 17 when I was born. And so already you took away my right to speak up and be listened to. Because if I actually want to speak about obviously I'm a baby, I'm not going to speak up about what I was experiencing at home, the kind of people that I was being left around. My mum used to run my grandma's house like a bando because my grandma was at home. So you had people coming in and out, girls. I was going to call them bitches, but I'm not going to be rude. But they were those. And I mean that in terms of, like, don't get twisted, I can be a bitch at times and I don't mind. But I mean in terms of girls that give no fucks to anything that really matters. They don't have any values. They're not looking after me. There's a baby in the room. You're all smoking. You're all doing this. You're all doing that around me. And my mum is coming back from college where she's been all day and I'm still in the nappy that she left me in. So, no, I wasn't listened to as a child. If I was crying in that cot, they probably would have just left me there crying. And I think that's why I'm so self-sufficient. I think that's why when I'm upset. I just want to be alone so that I can get myself together again. Because everybody had a problem with me and my tears. Why is Ebony crying? What's wrong with Ebony? So I wasn't listened to so much that I just felt like something was wrong with me. Maybe I'm saying the wrong things. But no, they just didn't want to hear. And that's okay. Because I can go and speak to people who do know. The last question says, what is your biggest criticism of other people? How might this criticism apply to you as well? My biggest criticism of other people is that we expect ourselves of others. And sometimes that means that we may put people on a pedestal. And sometimes that may mean that we expect people to settle. So the way in which I feel like I've done that is again, my apologies as I purge, but when I come face to face with a problem, whether it's my trauma, whether it's an altercation, I want to deal with that. I want to talk about it. I want us to heal through it. Okay, how can we both say how we feel about this and then figure out how we're going to move forward from it? And not everybody wants to do that. So again, I've gone into having this conversation with my dad a couple of times and I've stopped now. And that's why I was so shocked when he started attacking me with his words, because I didn't even say anything to you. Not everyone wants to resolve whatever malices and feelings they feel towards me. For example, my dad, he doesn't want to feel like I'm not causing any problems for him. To my dad, I'm the reason why his family don't respect him and stuff, because I made it evident that he doesn't support me, that he doesn't care for me, that he's put me in situations where I was in danger and things happened to me. Which is why every time growing up something happened, you just want to make me seem like a monster. No, I don't. Why would I want you to be a monster? You're my dad. I'm literally just telling you how you feel. And so that's where I expected myself of other people. And where other people expect me from them is like, again, that thing of settling. When Embrace happened and I couldn't pay the invoices anymore, and I had like my auntie telling me, you don't even know what you're doing. Bro, have you ever run a business before? You just need to stop. Why don't you just go get a job? You used to be so ambitious. I am ambitious, and this is why I'm trying to run a business. Like, I'm not going to settle because I've made a mistake. I'm not going to quit because you feel like I am not worthy of this or I can't do it. I'm not going to listen to the people who feel like it happened in the music industry so much. I performed at this event and the guy, he introduced me on stage and he said, oh yeah, there's going to be some twerking. I said, no, there's not. Then he posted the video online and he said, oh, she's a wicked twerker. I said, can you stop promoting me as a girl who shakes her bum? Like, fair enough, I do because I dance, but that's not all that there is to me. Oh, I thought it was a part of the image. No, you're trying to put this image on me and I don't want anything to do with it. Oh yeah, but when you want to blow as a... No! And this is what I keep on trying to say to people. Stop putting the expectations of the industry or what you think you need to do to blow on me, because I don't live my life that way. I'm not doing things so that I can blow up. I'm doing things because I'm trying to create. I'm actually trying to move out of very dark spaces that I've ended up in because of what I've been through. And as someone who's been sexually abused so many times, do you think I want you putting me out there as a fucking sex symbol? Of course I don't. So yeah, that's my biggest criticism of people in terms of projecting what they want onto you or what they expect onto you, instead of allowing everybody to be themselves and then using that to discern. And that's where I am right now. So I'm working on that a lot, because I have high standards for myself and not everybody does. And that's okay. When others go low, I go high, and not everybody does, and that's okay. I cared so much about my relatives and what they was going through, the toxic relationships, marriages, the lack of financial abundance or joy in their lives, the like disrespect just from people around them. And so I tried to make up for it by not doing that to them. And all they did was inflict that same pain that's being inflicted on them onto me. And I'm not that strong. I might have been once because I thought I had to. And I carried everything that everybody said, and I didn't even carry it. I just took it on. And I said, okay, even though these people say this about me, I'm going to move in this energy instead, because that's how I want to feel. And they have a problem with it. And so I said, oh, maybe I shouldn't. And that's where I played myself. And so moving forward, I'm going to embody the energy that I want for me. And I don't care what they have to say anymore. Like, honestly, they can all deal with the choices that they've made for themselves, and I'm going to make the choices that I'm making for myself. And of course they're going to disagree because they couldn't do what I'm doing, and instead of supporting, they just hate. They just hate. So that is what it is. That is all the shadow work questions that I had for today. Thank you for you guys who have been here so far. This is the Benin waist bead that I've been making. What time is it? It's 3 o'clock, so I'm 2 hours into this. I've either got 2 or 3 hours left, possibly 2, because I feel like I might not last all day. Thank you for the likes and stuff and the support. Thank you for just coming in. Don't forget to check out my waist beads, which I sell for empowerment, so that we can embody our highest truths. And our highest truth is like literally just being honest with ourselves about the past, the present, and the future. The past, what has occurred. The present, how am I behaving now? What are my habits? How is it a reflection of my past, and is it in alignment with my future and where I want to go? Because we can't allow the past to determine how we live. And I'm really gonna allow myself to move forward from this. I feel like when I go around my family, all my empowerment and the work that I'm doing on myself to feel more confident despite the abuse and the backlash of the abuse, I get treated like this broken dog, like a dog with a broken leg. Like, oh, she's just out of order, and I'm not broken. I'm just not who I used to be, and that's okay with me. And maybe it's not okay with them because they can't manipulate me how they used to anymore. I don't just give love without receiving it back anymore. They can't just make me tell them that they're a good dad or a good this or a good that, and they're not actually showing up in that. Okay, we're gonna take a music break, and then we're gonna do the actual workshop side of it, where we talk about self-love, body positivity, and confidence. And I'm gonna lay out some new foundations of how I'm gonna move forward from this, so that I can love myself, so I can feel confident in myself and what I'm doing, and also in my body and in my skin and not feel like I'm just the girl. I'm not just my abuse. I'm not just a survivor of my abuse. Like, I'm a champion. And I'm really going to give myself permission to embody that. But yeah. Oh! Oh, snap. I'm actually going to pause the live. Not going to pause it. I'm going to end the live for now. It's just so that when I do the repost, I'm not reposting like 5 hours of live content. Thank you everyone who joined. If I don't come back today, I will be back next Sunday, 6:30 to 8, I think. And yeah, I might be back in the next 15 minutes. So come and check it out if not. Don't forget to check out the waist beads on TikTok shop. You can also buy them on Etsy. Check out the Pretty Face Cultured Waist merchandise, which is for people who understand that our beauty comes from within. There's a couple other things that you can check out. I do tarot readings, I do workshops, like I said, and I do music and events and all of that stuff. So just check out my portfolio and I will see you next Sunday. If you're watching this on the replay, check out the other replays. Follow us on TikTok. It's at EO Cultured Waist on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. And yeah, that's me.